So here's what the Google guys said, if I'm not mistaken. Larry Page wants an AI god, is what he said, okay? And he's got the money to do it. And he called people who are against that, he uses a word called speciesist, which is a derogatory term, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was actually right there when he said that famous quote. I'm the first-hand witness. I think it got out because I wrote about it in my book. This is not bullshit. He actually said it.
So what do you think about Larry Page calling us speciesists?
Look, I don't judge people. No.
We do. This environment's very judgmental. We just are.
Everybody's entitled to their own dreams.
Yeah.
My dream is that my children will have and your children will have a wonderful future, and a future where they don't need to compete against machines. It would be rather where AI and other machines make their lives more enjoyable, better, more meaningful. Larry might say, now I'm speciesist, or I should feel sorry for the machines or whatever, but hey, we're building them. They wouldn't exist if it weren't for us. Why shouldn't we exercise that influence we have to make it something good? Why? I'm a very ambitious guy, and you are too, and I really respect that. So to me, it's utterly unambitious if we're like, well, we think we're so lame that the only thing we're going to try to do is build our successor species as fast as possible. Where's the ambition in that? Why would we do something so dumb? It's almost like Jonestown, some sort of suicide cult. I love humanity. I think humanity has incredible potential, and I want to fight hard for us to realize it. So I want us to build technology that gives us a future we and our children really want to live in. Call me speciesist, but that's my dream.
We're the same. You and I are the same. No question about that. And I think a lot of people here who are family folks are the same as well. But here's...
So in other words, I mean, so let me actually ask all of you guys in the audience also. So raise your hand if you're excited about us building more powerful AI and robots that can really...
You're excited about us building...
That can really empower us and help us flourish in the future. Raise your hand. Okay. Now raise your hand if you're really excited about building AI which will just replace us. So it's a little hard to see with the spotlights, but I don't see any hands at all. So I think we're all on Team Human here. And fellow speciesists.
But let me ask you a question. So, for example, so now what if, because it's always the government's going to say you can't build robots, okay? But then...
No. Push back. Like the FDA doesn't say you can't develop new drugs. They just say that in order to sell them, you just have to do the clinical trial and show that the benefits outweigh the harms. Similarly, the government, the law would say, yeah, sure you can build robots, but before you can sell them, you just have to make sure they meet the safety standards we've all agreed on. So, for example, you can't sell a robot if it enables the owner to just go tell it to do terrorism or murder people for you, right? That's a safety standard. We can specify it. It's perfectly possible at the technical level, actually, just like we teach our children what they can do, what's good, what's bad, do that with machines also.
But the question I'm asking is the following. Do you think Iran has a nuclear weapon? They say they don't. Do you think they have it?
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe not. Okay. How would we know that they don't? Iran is a massive country, bunch of desert. How can we know they don't have a nuclear plant?
We don't, I think, know for sure. But look at it, it comes back to incentives again. Suppose they do have a nuclear weapon. Why haven't they nuked us? Because they have an incentive not to, because then they would get nuked too, right? And similarly, like, why do companies have an incentive to build airplanes that don't crash? Because ultimately it's bad for them, right? So that's the whole point, really, of having safety standards. That's what they didn't used to be an FDA, actually, right? And this company which I will not name, sold this drug called thalidomide and said it's great for mothers to take during pregnancy if you're feeling a bit stressed and have headaches. And they didn't mention that there was early research suggesting it causes a lot of kids to be born without arms. And they sold it. It was a horrible tragedy. And eventually they got shut down here. And then they started, when it was banned in the US, they started selling it in Africa. So that's what happens if you have the wrong incentives, right? Whereas if you have safety standards that companies have to meet, then when they try to maximize their shareholder value, they're actually going to do the good things and not the bad things.
For the last 4 years, every time we do podcasts, I have to ask Rob or somebody, hey, can you pull up this news? Can you pull up that? Which way do these guys lean? Can you go back to the timeline of, eventually after asking so many questions, I said, why don't we design the website that we want aggregated? We don't write the articles. We feed all of it in using AI. So 8 months ago, I hired 15 machine learning engineers. They put together our news site called vtnews.ai. What this allows you to do when you go to it, if you go to that story right there that says Trump proposes overtime pay, click on it, it'll tell you how many sources are reporting on this from the left. If you go to the right, Rob, it says left sources, click on it. Those are all the left sources. If I want to go to right sources, those are the two. If I want to go to center, I go there. Now, if I want to go all the way to the top and I want to find out a lopsided story, a story that only one side is reporting on, either the left or the right. So if you notice the first one, will say Zelensky announces release of 49 Ukrainians from Russia. Notice more people on the left are reporting on that than the right. If I go to the middle one, same thing. If I go to the right one, same thing. You can see what stories are lopsided. And if I pick one of the stories, pick the first story, click on a Trump one, proposes overtime tax cuts. To the right on the AI, I can ask any question I want, but click on the first question that has it. It says, what is the political context and potential motivation behind the Trump's new tax cut proposal? Click on the question mark. It explains exactly what the motives are. So for you to use, whether you're doing a podcast, you're in the middle of a podcast, or you just want to know it for yourself, you're busy like myself. And last but not least, this is all AI doing this, so machine learning engineers. Go all the way to the top. I can go to timelines, and see how far back a story goes. Pick the Israel-Palestinian conflict. If I want to go to that and go back and see why are those 2 days a big spike, I'll have Rob pull it over to go to those 2 days with a big spike, and I'll see exactly what happened on that day or the previous day, and many other features vtnews.ai has. So simply go to vtnews.ai. There's a freemium model, there's a premium, and then there's the insider. If you want to have unlimited access to the AI, click on the VTAI Insider. You can now become a member effectively today.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.